It's 1998. What I'm going to be talking about is the 1967 football team. First, I'd like to talk about the record. They were 8-0, undefeated, non-tied, the only team in school history to accomplish that feat. In the backfield, quarterback Guy Mitchell, fullback Scott Mitchell, running back Jim Breckstein, at the wing Daryl Swenson. Talk a little bit about each one of these guys. Guy was a good passing quarterback. Scott Mitchell was a power back. Jim Breckstein had power and speed. Daryl Swenson was outstanding in the open field. We like to create plays with getting Daryl in the open field. We also had an outstanding line. At the ends were Gary Anderson and Greg Mitchell. Both had excellent hands. At guards, David File and Jerry Pettit. Both good blockers, strong. And at center, good hands, Jeff Klein. Backups, the backup center used on long snaps, David Lease. Jerry Kellenan saw a lot of action on the line. Jack Buchholz, a junior, played a lot on the offensive line. Harold Rodenbacher, we usually had a lot of big leads in our games, and Harold, our backup quarterback, played a lot. Also an outstanding wingback, would have started for most teams, Darryl Martz. In 66, 67, and 68, the Rock Lake Aces had 26 straight victories. Congratulations also to the 68 team. They only had one tie. A little bit about defense now. That year we had recorded 4 shutouts. Leading the defense, Jim Breckstein, middle linebacker. Scott Mitchell was a nose guard. And Gary Anderson played one of our ends. Those were our top 3 defensive tacklers. Also, at the other end was Greg Mitchell, and David File played some end. At the cornerbacks, Harold Rodenbacher, Guy Mitchell, Daryl Swenson, we all rotated these people. Jack Buchholz played a lot on the line for us. I'd like to talk a little bit about, we had about 5 of these people that were recruited by colleges. Guy Mitchell was recruited, but he chose basketball. Scott Mitchell, Jim Breckstein played at Mayville State. So did David File. Gary Anderson chose baseball and also played some football at Mayville State. Now I'd like to mention Ken Bachmeyer, my assistant coach. He also coached the 68 and 69 teams who were very successful. Next, we'd like to talk a little bit about the success of most of these athletes, not only in football, but they're all very successful in life. And it was for me, it was an honor to have coached. When you get a small school and you have that many kids recruited by colleges, it tells you a lot about the talent. So I was blessed with a lot of talent those years. Next, we'd like to talk a little bit about the cheerleaders. Cheerleaders won 2 trophies. On your picture, left to right, is Vicki Buchholz, Kay Satman, Marilyn Lewis, Linda Halloway, and Peggy Carnahan. The 9th grade or B Squad cheerleaders, Nancy Langrid, Marsha Kinnanen, Sue Berg, Kathy Breckstein, and Kathy Carnahan. Next, we'd like to talk about the girls track team. They won the Peace Garden Conference Championship in that spring of 1968. It would have been that same year. First, I'd like to talk about Peggy Carnahan. She was the first female athlete in track to qualify for the state track meet. Peggy also had 5 records. Record in the 100-yard dash. She had a record in the hurdles, which she qualified for the state in. She had a record in the long jump, the high jump, and she was on the 440 relay team that set a record. Betty Sparvey had a record in the 75-yard dash. Karen Kolova had a record in the 220. She also had a record in the 800. Emily Hendrickson, a record in the discus. Other record holders in that 440 relay, Betty Sparby, Sue Berg, and Vicki Buchholz, along with Peggy Carnahan. Incidentally, my name is Adrian Hoffner. I coached both the girls and boys in 4 years there in Rock Lake, and I really enjoyed the track program. And I'd also like to mention the boys track team. They placed second all those years. We got beat by the North Dakota School for the Deaf. Thank you.